up, Prince Days? You're right here hanging out with my good friend, long-time old school buddy friend, Mr. Maurice Tichy, who's the visionary CEO of the T-Watch movement. And of course, it's official. It's official, as you say, right?
That's right.
But right now we're in the studio, man. Behind us, you see all the great paraphernalia. We're going to talk more about what's going on with Mr. Maurice Tichy. Here we are 30 years later, man. This is wild. And you and I reconnected again after both of us have, have been on different paths in our lives, family and different things have, transpired over the years. And you hit me with this whole T-Watch, man. The World Awareness Challenge. I used to always see you talk to people. And I always saw you making people laugh. And you were always coming in you commanded the people's attention when you walked into the room. And I used to always just sit back and just check you out. I said, man, this guy's funny. He's naturally funny. And this guy has major natural personality. I'm thinking to myself, if I was a movie producer, I would put him in a film or something creative. I couldn't think of what to do. That was my own personal opinion. Never thought we would actually work together, really. And finally, when the Mr. McKinley piece came about, it came to me one day, the light bulb just went off. I said, you know what? I could run for Mr. McKinley through him. And so we both could be Mr. McKinley, you know what I'm saying? And so since I didn't qualify, he qualified. He had the grades, he had the personality, and all that kind of thing. So you've been on this road, man, in terms of community and being a voice from a black man's point of view for a long time. And so I came up with an idea one day. I just took a pen and paper and I wrote down a black man's point of view. I wrote this monologue, and it was basically talking about really what we're going through today. Think about it. Police brutality, death in the community kind of thing.
Teen pregnancy.
Teen pregnancy, drugs. So you and I both had already had a consciousness about black on black violence and crap, but we had a consciousness about the voids that were in the community. And so it's not just about T-Watch, the campaign, the movement, the brand, but this is really a lifestyle.
Yes.
This is really a purpose-filled dream coming to pass, where you didn't even know yourself really at the time that you were on this path, or maybe even being a voice as a black man. You were, hey brother, out kicking it, doing your thing, trying to find your dreams. But that was really one of the onsets. I'm sure you have many in your life where you became a voice in front of people. Because you kept saying, man, I can't do this. That's not my thing. That's not what I do. Right. I make people laugh in the classroom. But that particular day at McKinley High School in the auditorium, T-Watch was born. And you brought that thing to pass. You were like Denzel in Fences. You could have got an Oscar for that thing. You got a standing ovation. You won Mr. McKinley, and then the rest was history. And you just evolved into the man that you are today, man. Which brings us to the whole T-Watch movement. Here we are, 30 years later. And so let's talk more about T-Watch in terms of the inspiration behind that, because that was then up to now. A lot has happened and transpired in your life from then to now. What inspired you to say, man, I think this is really what I want to do?
Well, it came from many facets. Okay. I tell people all the time that my chosen career, it pretty much chose me. Yeah. You can see the path that I the steps were already on. We like the idea of lights and sirens and the action, as a young lad, me watching the firefighters, stop and swing in action, and we look at them as heroes.
Right.
So I've always been intrigued, but my heart was never set that I would actually, as a career. Unbeknownst to me that, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the cadet program. Because the fire department has opened my eyes up on many facets. It helped me with the understanding that breast cancer is not just about the person that acquired it.
Okay.
It's affecting that entire household, if not the community, or
your job.
Hence awareness. The community should be aware that we have these people with these ailments or these causes that exist in our backyard. As a first responder, I'm already on the scene. I'm already dealing with it. And what am I dealing with? Well, I don't have the luxury of dealing with just breast cancer.
Okay.
I don't pick and choose what cause I take or whatever. I take them all and I run them all. And they dealing with everything under the sun that I have started off with the 10 causes and so many more.
And that includes pets as well, right?
Animal rescue. Yes. There was one call in particular I went on that it involved ducks.
Are you serious, man?
I do the cat in the tree.
Not the cat in the tree. Was it the
I do the cat in the tree all the time. That's no shocker. Or somebody needs to perform CPR on the canine.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Big, but you get the animal bites all the time. But ducks. What I've learned is we are the first responders on the scene. We are the first advocates patient advocates on the scene.
Okay, I like that.
We are the ones, the eyes and ears that's going to be able to decipher information, relay information to whatever agencies that we're transferring care over to.
Gotcha.
So we form that impression, that general impression upon our arrival on our scene size.
So you guys are sort of like, even though they don't probably label it this way, but you're kind of like investigators, social workers, mentors, friends.
Absolutely.
You do pretty much everything in a conglomerate.
You wear those hats and titles, given to you or not.
That's
what you find yourself into. Right. So that's again what brings me back to T-Watch, the World Awareness Challenge. It's basically challenging the world one patient at a time, one family member at a time, one community representative at a time, that hey, it's something that you can do at your level without getting the major agencies involved.
Your level, right in your community, right in your home. And and I love that, the World Awareness Challenge, because with social media, everybody have all these different challenges, Ice Bucket Challenge, and Black Lives Matter Challenge, and different things, but the World Awareness Challenge, are we really aware of the world around us? Globally, metaphorically speaking, or just practically the world around you in your neighborhood? Oftentimes we have all these different complaints and things we feel in the community, but we have issues that we can work on right in our own household.
Right.
As a parent, you can work on your own child, work on your own family, and then of course that spills over to working into the community, your church, and eventually it becomes a city, and then a state, and then a country, and now it becomes the world. Which, as you see now more than ever before, we need a world challenge right now, and this is wonderful that you came up with this idea, the World Awareness Challenge. The world is watching. That's what comes to my spirit right now. It's not about you have a watch here and I have a watch there, but coming together, but putting this in the forefront of media, of advertising, of television interviews, the news networks, social media, and help bringing this to the forefront. The World Awareness Challenge. That's the next challenge, I think, where we are right now, where we're going into 2019 and beyond. It's about a world perspective, a world view of making these things more conscious. And then you talk about also, first responders, you're talking about being aware, but also it's about exposure. We can't really be aware of anything until we're exposed to it.
Correct.
Once you're exposed, then you become aware.
Right.
Exposure is to be able to see it, but awareness is to become educated about it.
Right.
And what I'm thinking, that's what you're doing with this T-Watch movement. You're educating people and making them aware of all these different ills that's happening in the community. These things are affecting everybody, but definitely in the African American community, we don't have enough awareness. We don't have enough education about high blood pressure, cholesterol, Alzheimer's. We don't really spend enough time. Most of us have fathers or grandparents who were military vets who are not really being treated properly with mental health issues. So we're taking it back to regain ownership of our families again. This is really about family.
So again, I would say to the awareness advocate, I don't want you to feel slighted because you don't see
a representation.
Diabetes here, type 1 and type 2. I don't want you to feel slighted because you don't see a watch for mental health, or you don't see a backpack for domestic violence, or for police brutality. I don't want you to feel slighted. I want you instead to join forces to help us to get there.
It's right, to create more brands.
And here's the other thing. This is what we don't do enough. We don't see our own personal agenda. We're never going to see the mark of the spread of the long-term awareness.
That's right.
We're only going to be a short-term fix, a band-aid, if you will. So, because I'm not going to help you because you're dealing with breast cancer, or I'm not going to help you because you're being bullied, or you're going to wait in line for your turn to become one of these statistics. I don't want us to wait for October for us to acknowledge that breast cancer is an issue and it needs our help.
And what's interesting too, we're talking about so many different areas, and what just came to my mind, man, is I'm thinking about T-Watch. And of course you have these awesome watches that, that's what we're looking at back here in these kids. These are all various watches representing various organizations and causes. You even have a couple of them on your wrist right now. But when I think of a watch, I think about time. One of the greatest gifts in life is time. It's not money, it's not fame, it's not popularity, it's not being the baddest rapper with all the gold on, or the best football, basketball star. It's really about having time. It's interesting that you use the symbolism of a watch, because a timepiece represents time. Right. Constantly we have to be aware of the time, and we have to make good use of the time that we have. And you translated time into a movement where now we have the World Awareness Challenge, T-Watch. And now you have various causes that's represented with T-Watch. What are some, and of course we have some of your paraphernalia back here behind us. Just give me a few of the different causes that you represent in terms of your timepiece, in terms of challenges and different things in the community. What do we have here behind us?
So what I did was, Dave, I started off with 10.
Okay.
Of course, there are more added, but we had to start somewhere. The other one I have is, I call it MPD, Missing Children.
Okay.
And nobody knows this except for those that talk close to me about it.
Right.
And you asked me, well, what were some of these calls that actually shook you, broke you down? What keeps you up at night?
Right.
Well, knowing that a little girl named Valicia Rudd is presumed not here anymore, but hopeful that she's out there somewhere. So I left that up to the wearer. I left it up to the customer that I now call awareness advocates. I really want you to tell me what organizations out here, local organizations, is actually getting it done.
Looking at the landscape, okay, in terms of the long-term vision of T-Watch, is there any competition? And what are some of the competitors are thinking? Are there any competitors out here doing what you do the way that you're doing?
Actually, there are a few.
Okay.
There are a few that's out there in the watch space. Okay. Certainly there are others in the garment space, the apparel space, period.
Sure. Okay.
But there are a few. But when I see another watch company that's doing the same thing, I look at them as an ally. It's no different than a mutual aid partner in the fire service or in law enforcement.
That's powerful.
So I want the T-shirt on your person.
Okay.
I want the backpack, which will be the most visible outer garment. We walk in designer wear all the time, but how many of us really think and stop to think about the power of branding or awareness? Each watch, you see a watch, I see awareness.
I love that.
So when somebody tells me, I don't wear watches, neither do I, but I do wear awareness. See, to celebrate me 365, and I want these causes to be relevant. I want them to be on the forefront. I want them to be on our mind 365.
Conversation at the dinner table.
That's exactly the time. So we want to bring this thing into a 24/7, 365 cause-driven community beacon. That's what we're doing.
Being a beacon of light in the community, making people aware. The World Awareness Challenge, T-Watch. I'm Prince Dejour, Maurice Tichy, T-Watch Television. Stay tuned. Check us out.
www.twatch.com. You can pick us up on any of your social media outlets. Just pick one. Don't wait. Do it today.
All right, my man. Proud of you, brother. My man.